The call came while I was still in uniform. The nurse's voice was steady at first, then cracked under the weight of what she was forced to say. "Your daughter is stable after 3 surgeries." My knees nearly buckled. "You don't want to know what your wife's boyfriend did." I wanted to demand details. Instead, I stayed silent, because silence is the only language I've ever trusted in moments like this. Then her tone dropped, quieter, conspiratorial. "The police refused to file a complaint. He's waiting outside the bar. He's all yours." I ended the call without a word. My reflection stared back at me in the black screen of my phone, fatigued, hardened, unfamiliar. By the time I reached my car, the decision was already carved into me. I drove home with one promise to myself. Betrayal doesn't happen all at once. It builds slowly, layer by layer, while you convince yourself you're imagining it. Her late nights, her phone tilted away at the dinner table, a softness in her smile that was never for me. But I ignored it, because a soldier learns to compartmentalize, to seal doubt in a steel box and bury it deep. Now the box had burst open. My wife's boyfriend. Not just a rumor, not just a suspicion. A man with blood on his hands, my daughter's blood. I sat in the dark living room, still wearing the day's sweat and grit, watching the shadows stretch across the floor. She moved upstairs quietly, as if guilt had weight and she was trying not to drop it. I didn't follow. Not yet. Instead, I thought of my daughter's face in a hospital bed. Bandages wrapped around innocence. Her body broken because of someone my wife let inside our home. That was the betrayal. Not the cheating, not the lies, but the open door, the invitation to violence. I began gathering, quietly, methodically, the hospital files, police reports, or rather, the absence of them. A paper trail of negligence that spoke louder than any testimony. Then her phone. She left it charging on the counter like an unguarded vault. I didn't need to guess the passcode. She used our anniversary. A mockery wrapped in 4 digits. Messages scrolled by in a blur. His name repeated like a wound that refused to clot. Plans, lies, pictures. Not just intimacy, strategy. They had been building a parallel life, one I was never meant to see. And in those messages, one detail stood out. The night my daughter was hurt, she had been left alone, while they were together. That was enough. Enough to end her, enough to him. But not with rage. Rage is sloppy. I've seen men burn everything in a fire of emotion only to choke on the smoke themselves. No, this had to be done with precision. The evidence arrived in my inbox 3 days later. A digital report, her phone records, his police history, restraining orders from women whose names I'd never heard, a pattern of violence ignored by a system that looks the other way. I printed it, bound it, set it on the kitchen table like scripture. That evening she came downstairs, barefoot, holding her glass of wine as if nothing had cracked between us. "What's this?" she asked, picking up the folder. Her hand trembled by the 2nd page. By the 5th, her lips parted in a soundless confession. I spoke only once. "You brought him here." Her tears came quickly, begging, excuses. "I didn't know, I thought." But lies are brittle things. They crumble when pressed. I pressed nothing. I just watched her drown in her own words. The next night I went to the bar. He was there, just like the nurse promised. Leaning against the wall, cigarette dangling, arrogance dripping off him like cheap cologne. When his eyes met mine, he smirked. He thought this was a contest of fists. He thought pain was the only weapon I knew. But I came unarmed. I came with something sharper. A file. His entire life printed on paper. Crimes ignored, women silenced, and now a child broken. I dropped it on the table in front of him. He flipped through, the smirk fading with each page. By the end, his hands shook. "Where'd you get this?" he muttered. I didn't answer. Instead, I leaned in close, voice flat, steady. "Every cop, Every lawyer, every judge in this city will have a copy tomorrow. Your face, your name, your history. You'll never touch another person again." He paled. Because death would have been mercy. Exposure was annihilation. I walked away before he could speak. His silence was my victory. The house feels colder now, empty in a way that no furniture or light can fix. She's gone. Divorce in motion. Custody already leaning my way. The boy who called himself a man will spend the rest of his days hunted by his own sins. And my daughter sleeps peacefully again, her small body healing. She will never know what I did, or why I stayed silent instead of striking. Because silence was the strike. I don't feel rage anymore, or sorrow, or love, only clarity. They thought betrayal would break me. They thought violence would define me. But I don't break. I don't burn. I erase. I didn't bury my enemies. I left them alive, forced to choke on the ruins they made.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.